Okay, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mr. Blue here should be able to see the screen here, all that good stuff. Welcome, Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. Here on a Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. Last week was Fed Day, Fed week, I should say. A couple other things going on in the backdrop, too. Hopefully, everybody is navigating these markets safely and appropriate risk management. I'll go through about an hour prep, give or take, for the pre-market prep and trade the open a little bit if we have some setups and some tape. Today being Tuesday, let me just take a quick peek at the economic calendar, if you will. We do have, in terms of the U.S. here, ECB, Lagarde is speaking 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, about 9 minutes in the euro. If you're trading Forex, love me some Forex. But in regards to the U.S., at least here for today, for the open 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do have Jerome Powell, testifying consumer confidence, manufacturing, Richmond manufacturing. Of course, he is, or already did, I should say, hold rates last week. So I'm sure everybody's kind of caught up with that so far. They did change a couple things. I'm not going to go too much into it right now, turn this into an economic 101 class here. I wanted to get to the charts. But he is talking today, testifying at the semi-annual monetary policy. So anytime he speaks, he could potentially move markets. All right, but the announcement's already out. When he fields questions, sometimes when he says things, he could potentially move markets. So just put that on your radar that he is going to be testifying at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, tomorrow being Wednesday as well. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern as well. In addition to that, okay, followed by unemployment claims on Thursday, Friday core PCE price index, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, as always, we're going to be trading the tape anyways. So I'm going to get to the charts. I'll start this off a bit more formally here. I bring this up every day, no matter what, to on YouTube, on Instagram, on socials, and even in the live trade room at Phantoms, the official live trade room. But demand supply, institutional demand supply is the main backdrop strategy at Phantoms. Okay, top down, multiple time frame analysis, and I kind of color code certain time frames in that monthly time frame is orange color code. Yellow is going to be weekly time frame orientation. Daily time frame is going to be blue. So in my charts, you'll see a lot of yellow, orange, and blues. Those are the associated time frames with that. And then we got hey, what's going on, Thomas? Yeah, I've been a little while, still transitioning with this move. Day by day coming together, but still kind of just annoying, taking a lot of my time. It takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of time to build things and all that kind of stuff. So still going through it, just day by day, trying to press. So hopefully after this week should be a lot more organized, et cetera, et cetera. Appreciate the patience. Candlesticks, bunch of fancy names. Location being most important, the way these are printed. Bearish candlesticks, again, a bunch of fancy names, but location and context is going to be most important way these are printed. And the liquidity map, which is key. And understanding all time frames regarding this liquidity map. I parked this over here to the left, and this will probably, most likely, almost every day comes up when we use this as a guide when we're live trading for live trades and just examples. Okay, examples. All right, cool. Let's get to the charts, the good stuff here, which is why everybody's here. I'll start off with the futures here. Hopefully, y'all caught Tesla pop yesterday. I was trading for a couple of hours in the morning until I had to run out. Run errands and get my stuff. So yesterday being Monday, but Tesla had that pop. We've been looking at this pop for Friday. Did not get a pop on Friday on Tesla because it was a bit of a squeeze setting up to the upside, and happened yesterday being Monday. So I took a little bit of a loss on Tesla on Friday, and hopefully y'all did good. Yesterday being Monday on a Tesla pop. I got Tesla here monthly, weekly, daily. So I was waiting for this kind of base break higher. On Friday wasn't the day. I know some folks did this as a swing trade from over here that we had planned even last week or week before, give or take. And that level kind of worked out pretty nice too. So waiting for that pop. Yesterday caught some, so hopefully y'all did too. I will switch over to the S&P futures and the NASDAQ futures, etc. All right, so I got the S&P futures daily. Time frame upper left, NASDAQ upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 bottom right. So you can see Russell and Dow Jones kind of not partaking in any of the kind of movement. It's just kind of grinding sideways. The S&Ps and NASDAQ are a bit more I should say, how do I say it? Moving a lot better, smoother, I guess. Here's the daily time frame of the S&P futures. So far today, up 0.66%, give or take, sub, okay, coming off of the high of overnight, 6143.75. We get a low right down in here, 60.74 so far, overnight high, overnight low. So already got a nice little, we already got some nice movement overnight. I'm not going to go too far back here, but you can rewind some of the recordings even on YouTube, etc., to get some analysis on the past over here. But we have been talking about this kind of grind, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low in the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. Okay, just kind of grinding higher, grinding higher, grinding higher. Resilient. Okay, tariff talk still, kind of going through here and there. You're not 100% out of the woods on that. And then we get some, countries kind of dropping bombs on each other, which is not great. Gotta be careful, what you say on the internet, but right, not great, right? Not great, not great, not great. War is bad. However, this market's resilient at the moment right now, right? Yesterday being Monday the 23rd. Okay, we actually gapped down on Sunday evening when the futures market opens. Okay, so we closed there on Friday, right, where my cursor is, and then we gapped down. Okay, we did gap down. We gapped down into levels of demand that we had kind of pre-prepped already that haven't even really been even great because they've been tested once or twice over the previous weeks or two. So you'll see a couple levels down in here when I get down to the small time frames for a moment. But the key takeaway here is, albeit we gapped down on Sunday evening, coming into Monday morning, being yesterday, okay, we got that rising 20p moving average. Okay, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, just in the daily time frame, kind of zoomed in here, and we have not broken any kind of prior level low, lower high. Okay, so again, we're still this uptrend, albeit kind of slow and kind of grindy with a bunch of inside days, pop new high, pull back, right? Couple days, pull back, pop new high. Couple days, pull back, boom, pop overnight. We got a new high, right? SPYs, SPX again will be gapping up. Okay, Q's going to be gapping up as well. All right, I do have basically the all-time high in the S&P futures and the S&P up here, not too far away, right? So we get the 61.64, okay, and then the all-time high in the S&P futures is right above there as well. So you can see I have a level 20, 24, 31, 61. That is 61.24, 61.31. We had a couple levels up here. The high so far is 43, and we pull back off that, and we'll drop down to the small time frame in a moment and requalify these levels lower down in here. Okay, got the rising 20 moving average here, working like a charm here, just kind of following that, following suit, guiding it lower. Okay, then we got a flip, kind of guiding it higher. Nasdaq, I can almost say the same thing. Nasdaq very close to its all-time high. Okay, daily time frame here so far up about almost 1%, sub 1%, 0.96%. Okay. And then, same thing. I mean, for the most part, we gapped down. Friday, close here. Sunday evening, open here. So we had to close here, open here. So we had a gap down. Okay, gap down to that rising 20p moving average there, working like a charm there, as mentioned. Okay, and again, even though we gapped down to some demand levels here. And again, this market's just holding its current structure, higher high, higher low. Nasdaq just overnight made a new higher high on the Nasdaq futures, coming in at 22,384. Okay, we had a couple levels up here, right? 320, 383, give or take, right? 435. Had a couple levels up here, right? So, Mark, I think, was it Mark Wahlberg? I remember he's like, you have a couple lines there. One of them is not a workout, right? So obviously these lines represent, institutional level of supply above, and then these lines lower have institutional level demand below, right? But as mentioned, similarly to the S&P, here's the Nasdaq futures, and a couple of these levels here in the past have already been hit once or twice. So again, this market's just pulling back into some decent demand, not even super, super awesome levels of demand, but just, what's the word? Just kind of the wave, like the waves. It's just riding the wave up so far. So can't fight that, right? Yesterday was a decent little, you'll notice on the SPYs, the SPX and the Qs, decent little positive COG where green bar closes above prior bar red on Friday. And we already have a little bit of fall through here overnight on the futures. Okay, now we're going to see it just because the futures are up, okay, overnight pretty significantly, right? NASDAQ almost 1%, S&P 0.7%, net Dow Jones 0.64. Then we get Russell 2000 small caps, bottom right, 0.88. Does not mean that we're going to continue to rally up. But I will say after that pullback kind of late last week into Friday as we dropped down, gap down on Sunday evening, rally back up. The bulls kind of took the ball on Sunday evening into Monday being yesterday, and are trying to, of course, run with that at the moment, right? So, of course, we're going to see how this intraday tape wakes up, opens up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll see. Trade the tape. My man Eric A is in the house. Chicago. I'm going to be tuning in, my man. All right, we got the monthly here, weekly here, daily here, monthly, weekly, daily. And while I'm here, just on the SPY really quick on the daily time frame, weekly in the middle here. Okay, we have obviously here's the all-time high. Okay, all-time high in the S&P SPY. Okay, monthly, weekly here to the left. All right, we're kind of just basing right here, right? Sub level, all-time high 613. S&P SPYs close 600. We're 13 points away. We're 13 points away. That's a day and a half, give or take. Okay. Daily ATR is about like 7. Okay, so that's like 2 days. 2 days away. Two daily ATRs away from the all-time high. So interesting, right? Pretty interesting. Now, last week we did have a red bar close here. Okay, last week's high, last week's low, albeit against this wide range bar up here. We have 2 weeks where we kind of been hovering up here just a little bit here sideways. Okay, and then yesterday, opening up off that rising 20 p.m. moving average here, as you can see in baby blue here, got a nice little positive COG close. Okay, so again, that could help provide after this pullback. That could help provide a potential push higher. Okay, 604. What's the exact price? 604.45 is last week's high in SPY. So definitely want to reference that. All right, and we are going to be gapping up here this morning. You'll see that in a moment. All right, but I'm going to get back to the futures just really quickly, but just definitely wanted to reference this last week's high here, okay? 604.50 handle, good enough. This is last week's low. All right, positive CFG close on the daily time frame off the rising 20. So that potentially could provide some fall through. I know we're gapping up, but we're going to get to that in a moment. Let me just go quickly over into the S&P futures real quick. Map out those G traps on S&Ps and NASDAQ futures. And we can get to the VIX, SPYs, Qs, and some tickers in regard to the gaps. All right, so switched over into the 1 hour time frame here of the S&P futures. All right, and one of the first things we do, map out our Globex highs, Globex low, overnight high, overnight low. So this is the overnight Globex high here. Overnight Globex low being down here. Okay, and Thinkorswim raised this out. This is Thinkorswim. All right, so if I kind of zoom out a bit here, we had a couple levels here. On Friday we kind of we spiked up really quick in the morning here. Couldn't even get into this level, which was kind of aggressive anyways because it wasn't the greatest level in the world. But it kind of was used as some supply overhead resistance for Friday's session. Then we just kind of like faded and grinded down for the whole day. Okay, that's Friday's close here. And I only bring this up because, as you can see, we gap down. Okay, this is Friday close, Sunday open here. Okay, we gap down all the way down here. Okay, so we had a couple levels down here, 59.73, 59.60. Okay, down in this little impulse right below this daily low, as mentioned. Okay, and so we gap down to the 73.60 handle, give or take. Okay, then boom, wide range bar off the open here, and then yesterday overnight, rallied up, and then yesterday had a nice little push higher, making a higher high overnight tonight or last night, I should say. Okay, continuation, base, and we popped higher. Now we're just kind of mean reverting here. Okay, putting this Globex low right down in here. And now I don't really like to delete the lines per se, but I'll switch these over because this was once a level of supply hit here, almost tagged, kind of tagged right there. Then we finally rallied up. We based right here a bit briefly, and we broke this higher. Okay, we broke this higher. So I'll keep the line here red. I'll keep the box here red. But I'm going to flip this over and turn the screen as a flip on the other side because you'll notice there's a couple of impulse right below current price at the moment. Okay, so there's current price. So if I look down to the left, there's an impulse right here, forming that kind of Globex low. And there's another one right here, impulse right below that Globex low, coming in at that blue line 71 handle, 60.71 that is. Okay, so in English, what that means is there's an institutional level of demand below Globex low, and the S&P futures here comes in at about 60.60, give or take, right here. And this could be used as a decent little what's called Globex trap here this morning. This is S&P futures. I switched to just a 30-minute time frame. Okay, G trap 60.60 1. All right, and as mentioned, I'm just going to change these lines. Now, this is not quite a G trap, but this is a demand. Now, this level is formed inside of the Globex high and low. So still could be decent for a potential setup here where we had a little bit of a basing. Now, this basing right here was mainly due to, kind of the closing of yesterday and the kind of like the last kind of like 30 minutes of yesterday. Then we opened up in futures here and then we just popped, right? So be careful with this level. This is a fairly aggressive, call it the 81 to about the 70 handle. Okay, so 81 to 71, give or take. Be careful because that's a bit aggressive because of how it formed. So the better one is going to be down here, 60, 61. All right, so you might want to put an asterisk on this aggressive. All right, the official Globex low is 71, so 61 and down in here to 52 is going to be better. All right, for a G-trap long. All right, I'll clean this up just a little bit. All right, clean this up. I'll keep the box there, but just like I do over here. But I gotta clean these lines up just a little bit there so we can. All right, just no reaction to that. We just broke new highs. This uptrend so far. All right, question. Thought AMD was going to pop yesterday, but hit supply again and gave a nice negative CG, came down lower demand level and bounced. Yes, EK Smoke. AMD is trying to kind of catch up. Well, I don't know if it's going to catch up with NVIDIA, but the semiconductors have been pretty interesting. AMD has been trying to show some kind of strength in the midst of other semiconductors. So it's trying to absorb its supply off that 90 to 100 price point area. Here's a small time frame of the S&P futures. So you just got some decent levels here. This is a nice little flip area right down in here. So you can see, some good stuff down here into the 80, 70 to 60 handle in regard to a pullback into a level of demand for S&P futures. 6061, very nice to the SPX 6000 node, and that's our guy and good member Joe Frank, the man. I'm gonna get to that in like literally a second there, but he brings up a very good point. I'm looking at the time. I got to speed this up a little bit here. Globex high and low on NASDAQ futures. Here's the Globex high. Whoa, here's the Globex low. Kind of zooming out. Great. Here's Friday close. 1 hour time frame in NASDAQ futures. Sunday evening open, gap down here, flushed down into the couple levels that we had here lower. Okay. And rallied up, meaning yesterday, right? So decent. Here's the Globex low. So do I have an institutional level of demand below the Globex low? And since this is the potential Globex low here, we have a little something right below here. Not quite. So it's mainly going to be right down in here. So 21,913 handle. G-trap. Yes, I trade live on here. I trade live with Phantoms. Yes. No BS. No BS. Winners, losers, etc. I actually prefer to do that. I'd rather just trade live all day, not say a word, and not teach. Here's an aggressive G trap. Just go. What is a live trade? What is trading? You almost want to put, you could put entry right. This is probably some stop loss built up right here. This 22,000 handle is going to be pretty interesting on the NASDAQ futures for an aggressive G trap. I know there might not be an institutional level demand right below there, but some stop loss placement right below this shelf here. All right, not enough time to explain that as much right now, but could be a quick sweep right there. All right. And, these are all flip zones here. So these would be super aggressive. They've actually already hit on the other side. So break and retesting the side. So yeah, the official G traps would be down here, lower 22,000, and then 21,009, 900. Down in here, 850 handle. All right, pretty interesting here. All right, gotta move on. All right, gotta move on here. Gold futures. Gold pulling back a bit more. Market up, gold down. Pretty interesting here. Daily is actually waiting for this deeper pullback a bit. Gold, this is low range on weeklies here. So I'm going to get to this. I'm going to look at GLD on this. Actually, low range on weeklies is down here at the 3,200. 3,200. So I'm going to get to GLD on this because this is just too many. It's a mess right here on the charts. Low range on weeklies is 32.20s. So gold can just do one bigger sweep on this. Gold might be revisiting the 32.50 handles, potentially lower down here. One little massive sweep there, but GLD might be a bit more cleaner to look at. VIX, where you at? All right, so far VIX down about 8%. We had last week we had VIX-piration. We had triple witching. So the VIX was kind of all like wacky markets where VIX was down pretty significantly, and then the markets were coming down as well. So last Friday was a little odd. Today being a little bit more normalized, we do have VIX down about 8-9%. So move down here. So yesterday's high, yesterday's low. We'll map this out on the small time frames as well. VIX up, market down, VIX down, market up. A lot more to that. But to keep it simple, there's the overnight high here. So if this sustains lower and trends lower off the open, that could be a bit more bullish for the market. If we kind of take out the overnight high and spike higher and attempt to potentially fill this gap here, that could be, bearish for the market for the day, give or take. Once we get a VIX spike of like 10, 15, 20%, that's kind of an outlier odd. If we spike up, that could be something more dramatic, but it's very rare. All right, so far VIX is down. Okay, for the night, that's a bit more bullish. Okay, massive gap. Okay, great. GLD. Yeah, so like even on GLD, because I know I kind of switched over. From we have a gap down here, so this is coming back down mid-range. So it might want to come down lower into the weeklies range here. I'm expecting gold to be a little bit more rangy up here after this massive rally. So it's just kind of clocking time. So I still have this, call it 300 down into the 290 to 295 area here as a low range. So we're gapping down in here. This is going to be mid. So we have all-time high here, all right, which it tagged. Okay, which it tagged, of course, did not break new all-time high. This is GLD, by the way, gold ETF, weekly on the left, daily on the right. Again, forgive my charts. I just want to still my charts are not as organized as what they typically would be in normal life due to the move, whatever. So I got to make sure that I organize my charts a lot more as I get more settled in after the big move. But yeah, we're gapping down here. It's kind of still mid-range from the all-time high in this weekly low range here. Okay, I wouldn't even be surprised if they liquidity sweep right below here too. Now you might be saying that that's a big move for gold, but that's only a couple percentage points lower, and it can go lower before it goes higher to snag liquidity on the low range. All right, so I've been a little bit more what's the word, conservative with not pressing gold as much after this massive pump. All right, I've been a little hesitant on putting on risk. Yeah, I've been taking some trades on gold, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking for more like a massive swing that I can hold for a couple of months. Okay, I would need it to be in a better location, meaning down here, lower range on the GLE VWAP, potentially down in here. All right, VIX. Okay, we got SPYs. Let me get to this real quick. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. Yesterday was a day. All right, kind of absorbing everything that it did last week, Monday into this gap here today, just basically took away everything from last week. Okay, right? Pretty kind of somewhat bearish bar here on the weeklies, last week's close, but Monday just came in. The bulls took a stance. There was that positive COG. Talked about that already this morning. So you can see close here. We're gapping up pre-market quote up here. All right, we are clearing a couple of levels here. A couple of daily highs, already breaking above last week's high, and the prior week's high is right above there as well, 605.06. So we're gapping up about 0.78%, give or take. That could change a little bit here if I bring that over to the SPX. Just to keep it quicker, 0.78. Now SPX and SPYs are a little bit different in terms of their formation on the charts. That's another thing I don't probably want to get into explaining 11 minutes before the open. SPX probably opening up around the, give or take, 60, 65, 60, 60, 55 handle. Why is that important? Well, if I go up here, this is options depth, a lot of green here, not a lot of negative gaps. So, that's telling me that it could be, well, we have a little bit of some pockets here. We have a bit of some pockets. We go 60, 65. Definitely rusty. I need to get back on the mic, more consistent after this move. So actually opening up at or around, pretty interesting. It looks like this might be a spread. Somebody has a spread here and here. I don't know if that might be Captain Condor's back, but looks like it's a spread. So this one's already going to be opening up in pretty much of a loss of the spread up here. I can just see it. We have a positive gamma at 60.85. Super interesting right there. So positive gamma at 60.85. we're going to be opening up at or around 64-ish, maybe 55, 60. So we're going to be opening up inside of kind of a negative and a positive gamma node. It looks like a spread here, pretty interesting. And then, Joe Frank already put in a nice notation here, SPX 6000. We have a positive gamma node below here too. We have a little bit of negative GEX between 60.30 and 60.20. So in the event that we do break back below 60.50, if we get below 60.40, we could go on a little bit more of a flush down into the 610s and the 6,000. So this will open up soon. So the key takeaways, I would say, is 60.85, nice little massive positive gamma node here. 6,000, decent positive gamma node. And then we got this negative GEX between 30 and 20. And then we got this spread here, I could tell, with a 60.50 and a 60.60 that's providing some negative and positive gamma here. So if we break lower, we could flush down a little bit. So just be careful with that. If we do break higher, okay, 60.85 SPX is going to provide potential some supply-ish, if you will. Now, that's a heavy topic, and we cover that in multiple hours in Phantoms. All right, if I pop up in the 60-minute time frame of the SPX just really briefly, okay, we always want to map out where institutional level of supply is first and foremost, right? However, it's already done. So we have this drop, this drop on the 60-minute time frame that was developed February 21st. If you can see the day at the bottom there, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay, that comes in about 81 to 89, give or take, with the 6,000 handle right above that, 6,100, I should say, 6,100. And then we got 6110 to 6121. Okay, so if I look at this positive gamma node at 60.85, okay, and I cross-reference that 60.85 in the SPX, okay, do I have a level of supply right above there as well? Yes. Okay, so that is a 60-minute base drop IBI. Okay, we also have positive gamma here. Now, if we're coming up here, we're going to be gapping up into the 60-ish, give or take. Okay, if we continue to rally up, okay, there's a base drop supply level to the left, which is most important, and then we also have a positive gamma node here. And if we're coming up into that, or as we're coming up into a positive gamma node, okay, market maker is going to have to sell into this along with this supply level above here. Okay, again, it's a heavy topic that I don't have enough time to explain here. It actually cannot be explained in 5 minutes. Okay, it actually takes hours and hours and hours, and you must understand options to understand this. So that's going to be pretty interesting here. So this 60.85, 60.90 is going to be pretty interesting if the markets rally, if we gap up and continue up into this level at some point today. Okay, also reference that 6100, which isn't really much of a gamma node there, but if we break above 60.90 with some authority, okay, there's it could be a little bit of a sweep higher into that 6100. So pretty interesting there. Okay, lower again, I'll map out the 60.35 to 60.20. There's a bit of a negative GEX node right there. It's not super negative, but something there. What was that? Call it 35 to 25, give or take. It's over here. All right. Don't want to spend too much time on this. And this is going to be negative GEX. I should say regime, not a node, but all good. All right, so if we gap up, okay, just remember, just because we gap up doesn't mean that we're going to continue to go higher. Okay, depending on the actual opening price, maybe let's just call it like 60, 62, for example. Okay, we could be using a slight move down into last week's high as a resistance test. Okay, and if we don't get below that 35 handle, okay, and fill, because here's the close, we're going to be opening up somewhere around here. Okay, if I go to SPYs, we got 6 minutes before the open. All right, opening up here, right? So we got these couple daily highs, SPYs and SPX a little bit different, just on the chart on the chart a bit here. All right, so we could potentially be using these previous daily highs as some support on the other side in the event that we don't fill this gap. today. Right. Definitely slower than what I usually would be doing without this stupid move. Hey man, not sure if you saw, but I have my second 20K payout from Top Step coming today. Good job, Sean Callahan. Sean Callahan, have your second 20K payout from Top Step coming today. Good job. If you're still in the room, brother, congratulations. Forever in debt to you. Love you, brother. Yep. Goes likewise. Goes both ways, man. Congratulations. Make that money, bro. Take an account, blow it up in a good way. In a good way. Withdraw. Pull capital out of the capital markets. That's the goal. Again, I apologize for my charge, folks. I know you're probably sick of hearing it. Yesterday's high studio. Qs gapping up all the way up here, clearing. Damn. It's going to be a bad. Wow. We're going to be a couple points off of all-time highs on Qs. Wow. Less than 1% so far in the gap open today. Now, we could, again, remember, be patient. Okay. We could be using these as potential retracements. Last week's high would be a quick one. Got a prior daily high here. Well, not prior daily high, but just a daily that we're gapping up above. Close here Monday, yesterday. Okay, where the Mickey Mouse hand is, gapping up here. Okay, so we could potentially use these as retrace levels here. The gap fills all the way down here because it goes based on close. And then to today's open. All right, cool. That's Qs. All right, I got 3 minutes before the market opens. Not ideal. Apple. We're going to save some time on Apple. Still just doing a whole lot of nothing here in the middle. Dead smack in the middle. Be careful with it. Amazon. So most things going to be gapping up here today. Amazon broke out a bit from this ugly pattern here. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. Man, I got to organize my charts, man. This move is annoying. This is wasting time. Outside gap up. Let me see if anything else is kind of clearing. AVGO on a basing, gapping up, clearing. So AVGO could be pretty interesting. Again, that's one of the stronger Mag 7 stocks. It's really not even really considered a Mag 7, but it's up there in regard to a stock that's heavily weighted in the S&P. So base potential gap up higher clearing. So that could be pretty interesting. Gap fill right there, of course, but that basing that's been going on for the past, let's say, last week could provide a catapult. And again, AVGO Broadcom is one of the stronger one of the stronger stocks, heavily weighted in the S&P. Google, everything else, some things are gapping above the prior day high. Google is not, so it's a bit more relative weakness on this. Doesn't mean I'm going to short it, but again, not the strongest gap. But that could change. That could change off the open. Tesla had a nice pop yesterday. Hopefully, my Phantoms caught this. I was a day too early on this. On Friday, I was kind of playing the base breakout higher. Took a couple points loss on Tesla. Caught it yesterday on Monday. Hopefully y'all got that. Could be on the radar again here this morning today. Let's see, Microsoft. Gap up, all-time high, close higher. Gap up from yesterday's close higher. Meta, clearing gap up. NVIDIA. It was AMD trying to work itself through up into the upper level into the 137 handle. All right, let me switch this to the daily. Let's just get internals real quick. So when I get the official SPX open, call it 65 handle. All right. VIX down lows. Advanced declines, positive 1200. Extreme will be positive negative 2000. Vol D up slightly. VIX just hanging out. Again, we have that little negative GEX node actually updated a bit here, right below price. We're coming up into that 60.85 positive gamma node. So we still have some space up into there. AVGO first minute bar print, wide range bar off the clearing gap base break higher. Definitely on the radar. Meta as well in the 2 minute, giving us a couple of signals. AMD is going to be a little more careful with that one outside of 2 standard deviations. Good gap though. Anybody take this Visa swing trade? You got your bounce out of this level that we had planned. Actually, a Phantom member kind of put that on the dock, so credit. AVGO. JP Morgan, all-time high. Not surprising one bit. All right, AVGO has fall through here. So yeah, we get long AVGO. Has one of the better clearing gaps today off that rising 20 and long call. Already missing a little something here. Let's see, we're trading the 65.5 handle. If I pick up the 67.5 handle, might not be too bad. Going for about $3 here. So it'll be the 67.5 strike. AVGO. It's a premium chart. All right, going for about 280 here. All right. All right, that's a long call on AVGO. All right, this is all-time high, so we got to be careful on that. So we got VWAP test. This is all-time high. Yeah, Tesla already squeezed yesterday. Watch out for a fade on this. Those are buys. Pulling back. Watch out on this for a lack of fall through. Yeah, my other entry might not be. Have to be patient on that. You have to be careful on the fade. All right, SPX has some room here. I'm gonna get long call spies. So long call spies. Day trade. I'll just pick up the at the money's 605 here. All right, what is 605 strike here? 0 DTE. Put that up here. All right, here's the strike, 605. All right, today's expiration. All right, make sure you put some limit orders out to take some profit. Let's do that right now. Excuse me. All right, already TP'd some here on this account. Let me grab it on this account. Make sure you TPing. All right, TPing. So this could be long SPX, long SPYs, long S&P futures. Already going on around TPing, but let's just TP'd more. This is the 605 strike. Got these for about buck 15, buck 13, what have you. Selling some off here at the 140 handle. 130-ish, okay. All right, stop to break even. I can't hurt you no more. All right. I will see if this pullback on Avgo is indeed a actual pullback, or is it going to be a lack of fall through here on this bad boy? I can unload some more SPYs. I'm looking for this 80 handle, right? On SPX. So I got your runners. If we do happen to spike up on premium, OCO, yeah. All right, so I got my stop loss at break even on runners and a limit order up on the long call. Take a visit on the EVGO. This is pushing back on us here, so we'll see if we can get see if we get some kind of fall through here. So I went heavier size on SPYs. All right, let's see if we can find NVIDIA. Beautiful fall through. Better than Avgo. Clearing gap. Damn it. Not even going to say it, but still don't have fucking all my screens up. It sucks. I'm doing that. I'm getting that logged in today. I had to go pick up some more furniture yesterday. Annoying. So I'm getting that all situated today. Stat. The video was a clean one. Let's see, coin. Coins in momentum, breaking some monthlies and weekly supplies. It's in momentum. Nice. I own this stock. Nice. Crypto plays. On the 5s and 2s, this one's looking good too. Nice follow through. Positive COG on the 5, positive COG on the 2, follow through here. Yeah, you can work on this. Get maybe a little bit of a pullback on weekly on daily VWAP here. If anybody caught the video TP, some nice little pump there. Let's see, Meta's looking a little interesting too. If these daily bars can sustain these gap ups and close above here, you know, this is potentially setting up markets to potentially rip higher on mega cap. Bezos here. Trying to play catch up. We're coming up into a bit of an intermediate level. Decent little positive COG right there. Already kind of going. Meta as well, looking good. Decent. Cumulative tick slightly up. You want to see advanced declines continue its uptick higher. VIX quiet on a little bit of an uptick. Amazon holding its bids. All right, looks like SPY's got stopped out break even there, right? Let me do that in this account here so it's consistent. So stopped out break even on runners. Tesla trying to rotate here. There's a nice VWAP test on SPYs. I'm going to have to recalibrate this. What if I do the 606? All right, and look at the time too. I'll be patient with you folks. Get a positive COG here. If we get that, looking a little heavy right now. Yeah, the momentum would be. It's trying to rotate a little bit here, but that's on a small time frame. Wish my charts were a little more organized. This is not last week's low, but let me see. It's one of the weaker ones. Percent change off open, yeah. So it'd be, for mega cap, you'd want maybe Apple, Tesla. Apple might be better for put, just because it's relatively more weaker. Tesla's in a little bit more of a squeeze, so Apple would be one that I would that you could potentially attack for bearish exposure. Tesla is up there, closer to weekly supply too, indeed. Amazon's surprisingly holding its bids pretty decent. AVG on a basing, which is kind of what you want to see. So we need a base break high continuation on this. So we got to wait. I know we're floating down on the options. We need that. If that doesn't happen, then we would have to cut. Okay. So we got to give that a little space. Don't want to put my stop right below here to be market maker liquidity sweep. So if this bar gives up, 50% of its wide range bar open here, stop loss at around here, just have to cut it. Right now it's basing on VWAP, which is kind of normal after the initial move higher. So just dealing with all-time high kind of exit distribution, people who are long this stock, right? TP some, grandma, you're going to own this stock in long-term portfolio, right? So naturally it's kind of dips down a little bit there because we didn't clear that all-time high. So we kept up in the middle of here, base break, and tagged all-time high. one of those entries are not great, and then pulling back. So yeah, there it is, right? So we'll see. Right, wanted to give you all at least some kind of insight on how to manage, as I'm not going to be on this mic for hours and hours and hours. In the live trade room, we go like 4 hours. For what it's worth, decent little positive COG here to see if we get some push fall through higher on this AVGO ticker. And legend has it, if you sing the Creed song, "Take Me Higher," it moves stocks up, so you can get your singing vocals ready. Apple, bit of a fall through lower a bit there. TP's, let me see, Amazon. Amazon resiliently holding bids. Tesla drop off its VWAP. If you took that, you may scalp some TP here. My charts are hideous. NVIDIA missed the trade off the open. That was a good one. Dipping into next level of supply higher on daily. Only 2 levels away from all-time high on the vid. Coin had some fall through. Oh, coin. Let's go. Nice. I'm actually going to my TradeStation account and take some profit on a little bit of some stock on this. Coin. Given the coin. Nice. Monthly, weekly, daily alignment, base, punch. Taking out these weeklies and monthlies here to the left, like it wasn't even there. You gotta be a little cautious now on this. This is why I'm going to take some profit on stock, just a little bit. All-time high 350 handle, 330s up here. We got daily on the left here, on the right, outside, well outside of 2 STDs, standard deviation. Now we're outside of weekly Bollingers, 2 standard deviations, and then even monthlies as well. So anytime that you have that happening, it's on all 3 time frames, on the high time frames outside of 2 standard deviations. Be extremely careful for mean revert back. Now it doesn't mean it's going to come all the way back down and collapse here. It's massive momentum happening right now in this stock. All right, there's the all-time high. I believe in coin, right? 350 handle. What a move today. Nice. Actually, it's not the all-time high. The all-time high is 400-ish. I prefer day trade. Definitely don't want to chase now. That's a TP for me to revert. But when we're outside of 2 standard deviations on the monthly, weekly, and daily, we might get some reaction off of this 345, 350 handle. If this thing wants to get more climactic and more exhausted. You might even want to just place if it gets up there, if you might even potentially want to play the 350 handle for a mean revert on that liquidity sweep higher, a quick little monthly high right up here, trap some late buyers outside of 2 standard. This is basically a nice little. Usually, I don't like to tell people to do this, but this is kind of setting up. You'd almost want another day or two like this, where try to work longs and wait for pullbacks on longs, but we can play what's called a mean reversion climactic trading setup. If we can get up into the 347 and 351 handle up here, liquidity sweep, nice even number 350, trap some buyers like, oh, it's breaking out outside of 2 STDs on monthly, weekly, daily for a mean revert down. So coins really interesting right now at the moment. I might plan this a bit more with the Phantoms members tomorrow in the live trade room officially on Wednesdays, where we have multiple hours. Interesting there. I have to wait for even for a day trade or a swing trade to get long before we get up to the 350s. If that's gonna happen, definitely wait for a pullback down to this area here, 310-ish, give or take. View up today, 320. Pretty interesting there. Coin on both sides of the equations. AMD pop, TP AMD. If you caught that. Yeah, Travis. That's one of those songs that play. So AMD following through here, coming up into this weekly gap fill. So definitely want to potentially take some profit as we get up into this area at the 130, 137, 138 handle. Yeah. First dividend bar print is in. AMD view up test. Come on, Netflix, man, all-time high here. Man, actually, Netflix was on the list here today, even for the day. I took a loss on Netflix on Friday. Looks like I was a day or two late on these. Netflix new high. Coin a monster. Yeah, usually I don't like to, coin liquidity sweep at 350 is looking juicy, just because of how quickly it spiked up in, and you'd want it to set up. You'd want this thing to get up here more climactic, more exhausted. And I do have some kind of monthly level here, in addition to outside of 2 standard deviations outside of the monthly, weekly, and daily. So it is setting up for a criterion. Usually I don't like to tell people to do those mean reverts because you got to be very strategic with them, but it is potentially setting up. This has a daily ATR about 20 points on average, so that's another day's work if we spike higher to 350 handle-ish. All right, and yeah, you'd want to get you want to, if you're doing options, which I would recommend to do, you definitely want to give yourself some time. So I'd say no less than 30 days as a rule expiration. I'd say 45 days plus, maybe even more than that, maybe 60 days, give or take, for a mean revert, because you don't want to get theta decay, right? Because it might just, it might not even work, right? It might just continue higher, but we do have a bit of a setup there. All right, but I'd much rather all ride longs, right? Which, so kind of like plan A, plan B, if you will, right? Shout out to Mark Wahlberg shouting this out earlier, right? Just for a day trade here. Now a little more relaxed on it a bit there, not chasing the day trade. I own the stock, right? But I'm going to be taking some profit. I'm going to take a little bit of profit later today, a little bit here, shave off a little bit shares, right? If we come back down, okay. If we go higher up to 350, I'm going to shave out some more shares, right? So people who booking some gains. As we're getting far away from the 20, 50 EMA here, even on the 6-minute time frame, we're getting away. We're outside of 2 standard deviations, and then we got the monthly little level of supply up there, 350 handle. Okay, so plan A would be like, if we come down lower first, build some longs, accumulate longs, right? Accumulate longs, give or take, right? In the event that we don't get up to 350 first, right? However, what if we don't pull back so much more deeper down here, like the 315 to the 295 handle, give or take? If we don't, and we go higher first, okay, if you do happen to have any longs on for a day trade and or a swing trade or shares, I would suggest to maybe TP some. And then because we got even further stretched away, say later today or even into tomorrow, up into the 350 and above, then some exit distribution from longs will be coming in, and a potential what's called mean reversion short outside of 2 standard deviations could be, I'd say, more higher at the 350 for a mean revert back down like maybe the 320s to the 305s, give or take. All right, so it's a concept that I teach in more detail in some of the advanced classes with the Phantoms members. I think we covered it in advanced futures, give or take. All right, accumulation distribution, auto regression, which is trend trading, and then mean reversion, which is counter trend trading, coming from an extreme movement in price very fast, okay, and just kind of calming down, mean reverting. No, cut that. Break even. Right, I had mentioned TP, let some runners go, stop out, break even there. All right, pretty nasty bar coming in here. If you snag Tesla at its VWAP, TP some Tesla on this new low here. Good job. Apple fell through here more. AVG already keep an eye on. This might be a cut. This might be a loser for the day. All right, so we just got a little bit of a flush. VIX still down 8.5% overall, but on a little bit of an uptick, kind of revisiting its kind of mid-late evening range. But we'll keep an eye on that. If that continues to spike higher, that could be a bit of a thing. Cumulative tick still steady higher. All right, so S&Ps are not crashing or anything like that. We're pulling back a little bit. Advanced declines improving. I know there was a little bit of a negative GAX right below SPYs. Yeah, Nick Claus, I'm a little annoyed with Tesla and Netflix because I don't want to say I knew we were going to pump like that in Tesla and Netflix, but on Friday was the low volume day, kind of lack of fall through on those particular setups. And then yesterday being Monday was amazing, but I wasn't with y'all. So it's just kind of like one of those things. But if you remember from Friday, Tesla and Netflix were on the top of the list there. Those are my only two losses for Friday. And then boom, Monday comes out next day. Tesla rips up. Thank God I caught some there. And Netflix didn't catch Netflix though. For the record. Jerome Powell on the mic. Let me check NASDAQ futures and S&Ps. Just kind of hanging out. So far. We have an impulse, basing impulse that we're kind of hanging out on right now in the S&P futures here, 1 hour time frame. Yeah, it sucks, Con. Yeah, you got to be diligent. Probably could have traded them, handled them a little bit more aggressively, but that's all good. Tesla on Monday just cleaned house. Just went wide range bar open. It just fall through. So we have a little bit of a negative GEX lower. Again, 60-50 on SPX could be a bit interesting. And that is indeed last week's high that we broke as we gapped up here today. So we have a retest of a weekly high from 2 weeks ago, 60-ish, and then we got 60, which we just tagged, right? $60.50 last week's high. This actually has a positive gamma node there, right below there. So 60.50. So you could potentially put an order in down here to limit in SPYs, SPX or S&P futures. Let me see how much more lower this could potentially be here. About like 0.25 on SPX. That would be SPYs, give or take. Down to 602s. And I don't know if that will bring it all the way down here, the 680 handle on the S&P futures. We do have a little guy right there. It could be a little bit of a liquidity sweep right below this little level right there. Call it 60.93. So maybe 60.90 on the S&P futures. Could be a bit of a swipe on that positive gamma node on the S&P, on the SPX, I should say. Give me a trade, trader boy. 60.90 flush. Just want to check NQ. Oh, gross range. Just right above, right below IOF, where not the high quality IOF levels, and just I know that there's going to be stop losses built up there. Kind of where you have your basic support resistance, where retail traders have their stops. All right, so that could have already been the sweep that we needed for the day. So if we kind of get assuming VIX is still on its lows or hovering near its lows, kind of two plans of action. Yeah, LQ, LuQ, Lakai. It's I go a little bit more deeper with the classes. Sweeps are one of my favorite things. It comes from experience and just seeing what they do out there in New York City when I was trained. But looks like we might have to re-engage because I have no problem re-engaging SPY long call if we're about to reclaim daily view up here right now. But I was also going to plan a limit order SPX entry potentially down here, which could still potentially hit. So I'm just checking the S&P and NASDAQ futures and to see what levels we could potentially hit confluence in the event that we get if we do swipe down in here to the 60-50 with this positive gamma node here on options depth. Um, um, yeah, that's where we have this massive sold put. At 60. All right, we got to fix 18. So yeah, I could plan this with y'all here. Could potentially, if SPX hits the 60, I'll even just do 51. Could be a bit of a re-engagement entry here right now, soon, I should say. But if we get down to 60.51, we could put a limit order down in here, right? So then I'm not going to spend too much more time here. I'll give you all some how I'm going to be managing, which I already did a little bit here with AVG already. But I know it's kind of annoying. Well, I'll come back to this. We already have it kind of planned out how I'm going to stop out. We're still kind of upper third basing, at least at the moment. So I'll get back to that in a moment. And forget about that, of course. However, with SPX, yep, Bob, I'll see you, brother. I can put a conditional order. If SPX hits 60.51, I'll pick up, I'll probably around the 60.75 strike, maybe the 60.80. Don't want to get too far away from 60.85. This is already kind of popping. Positive COG here, already taking this out. This could already be the sweep for today, potentially. So yeah, I'll plan that. But I'm looking like to re-engage some spies here. Fix back down on a down check. So if I were to do the 605, that's like basically at the money there, going for about 97 cents, 98 cents. So I'm going to re-engage the 605 strike call on spies. So it's the same one that we were in before. All right, now stop loss on this would be about 54 cents, give or take. So if we have no follow through on this, I'll get clipped out. And right, so make sure you get your stop loss on this right here. All right, this is 605 strike call on SPY, second engagement here. Just remember, you can always put some TPs. Up here, right? So stop loss here. Let's see if we can try to get some more follow through. If not, get stopped out. AVGO, kind of annoying. Definitely kind of annoying. That might be a cut soon. We'll see if we get some fall through here. Long call spies, second shot here, right? Can you take me higher? Roy. AVGO, a dog. All right. Let's see. Make sure you put some TP Timmies here if we get some follow throughs, right? In 4 minutes, we're going to get another 30-minute bar close here. In the full 1 hour bar off the open. So we have, of course, we have, had a nice little move up higher off the open. Then we flushed down. Was kind of waiting for a flush. We still could get another flush. So I'm kind of managing this little trade setup here. A little aggressive. All right. I'll plan this little 60-50 in the event that we do flush lower. All right. In which case, if that happens, well, it depends, right? I mean, we could rally TP, right? Protect your stop. If that happens first, that would be great. And this may not ever happen lower down here. Now, if we don't fall through, we don't get TPs off there, might get stopped out of this long call here. And, potentially, I don't know, revisit maybe today's low so far. There goes that first retest on the weekly that I just mentioned in the pre-market prep. Had a couple levels here, right? Boom, boom. So the 60-50 is a bit more confluence with the positive gamma node on options depth, OD. Right, something a bit decent there. Okay, we have to watch out because below price right now is still kind of battling this little negative gex area here. So we've been slicing a little bit below it, slicing a bit more, slicing through it, down and up. Again, we have this 60.87. So here's SPX. So I mean, if we get up to 60.87, these long calls, assuming we don't get stopped out, they'd be printing, right? So again, I'm still kind of seeing I'm not sure if we can get up into the 60-80, 60-90 SPX level up here. All right. FVGO looking like it's just going to be a cut. All right, Tesla new low if you short that TP. Fuck Tesla. All right, so SPX, if we, because with this trade, you got your stop loss in place, right? You got your stop loss in place. Let it do its thing. All right. Now, in regard to the 60-50 SPX, 60-51 is when I'm going to put a limit order in if we do happen to flush out lower down there. And again, I don't want to be too far away from the, VWAP right now so far for the day is about 70, so I want to be away from there. In other words, what I'm trying to say here in English is, in the event that S&Ps do flush down and make a new lower low down to the 60-50, which is last week's high that we just gapped up above and could use that as a retest as it did over here on the prior weekly high here. Just a quick little boink, rally up. If we do flush out a new low, this could be a bigger, better one potentiality here. All right, and so if we get to 60-50, let me see price out maybe the 60-75 long call, but on SPX. But we would have to be, or we have to swipe down into the 60-50 for this to get filled on the index price, right? So if I do 60.75, see how they're going for about what, $7.70 right now at the moment, price of the option. Well, if I put a 60-50 point there, and then I just put like a 60.75 to hypothetically hit that at the money after we got in. What's going for 750 right now would actually become 550-ish, 560-ish cheaper from 780, and even that we swiped down there today. So you're probably talking about what, maybe be priced at about maybe $2, maybe 250. $250, $2, maybe 175. Depends on what time exactly in the day, if it does get filled, okay, which it may not. All right, so you're probably talking about anywhere between $1.80 to maybe $2.50. Okay, so that'll give you some range, if you will, of what you could be potentially paying for it, give or take. And that is the 60.75 strike call. So if we did happen to hit, say, 60.70 today, in the event that that gets filled, this could potentially be, it's going to make some good little cash. Let's say we get filled at the worst, say 250. What I'm doing right now is pricing out an option based on Greek's price slicing. It's too much. Whoa. Yeah, decent risk reward if that gets filled. Decent risk reward. Yeah, you can reduce some risk at VWAP if you want on AVGO. That would be the time to do it. Especially right now in this uptick. And it's just not following through. If it hit at 2 p.m., it'll be about $3. Yep. Just reduce some exposure here on AVGO. I'll peel some out. So this is the reduced exposure loss. Stefan, what if today is more of a digestion day? Then today's just more of a digestion day. Must be range. I try not to think. Like while I'm doing all this stuff, while I'm trading, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just looking for setups, and I'm super slow today. My screens are not all set up. I'm sick of saying that BS, but the longer I do this, I've been doing this for quite some time now. I don't care. I don't care about the what ifs. I just don't care. And the more money that's how you make money. You could care less about what you think is in fail and what you want to have happen, and you just trade the setup. Like taking this 5 trading setup, it's just, okay, did we flush? Is this the flush? If yes, we got a positive COG back above fade and daily VWAP. Okay, VIX on lows or on lows. If this is the sweep, I got to take a shot at this potential trade. Positive COG back above fade VWAP and daily VWAP. If it follows through, great. I'll TP, get my stop loss. If not, I get stopped out. Okay, maybe I get long put, maybe depending on what happens there, to maybe take it on the flush down lower. All right, but then I would be TPing there. All right, up to 60-50, and then potentially plan a bounce trade here. Right. So like, I don't care. Is today going to be a digestion day? I don't know. It's only an hour into the session. I'm too busy trading a potential setup and managing risk to think about anything. Right. I'm not thinking. I'm not feeling. I don't care. I got my risk. I got a potential trading set up. Right, not the strongest one here. Maybe it's not a little more aggressive, one a bit more a smaller size in the event that we don't get follow through. Okay, and yeah, if it's a digestion day, then this trade maybe might not fall through. Right, does that make sense? And we just kind of go sideways. And what am I going to do to deal with that? Right, I'd maybe sell some credit, or maybe go to another trading setup that might potentially have some follow through if I'm still going to be trading. That's it, really. I mean, every year that you stack on with more experience with trading and investing, I know it sounds freaky, but the less you realize that you as a human being, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't have no control. The only thing that you can't control is yourself. And most people, when they come into trading and they just, open up the screens, like they actually literally think they know what is going to happen next in the stock market, and that's just completely wrong. Know that you don't know what's going to happen next, and then therefore everything is going to be risk managed and risk adverse for you to take managed risk and potentially take setups that have a higher probability one way or the other working out more than not. All right, but when you're wrong, and that's the thing, people get married. People will tell themselves a story about, oh, today the market's going to do this, and that, right? Oh, today's going to be a day where it's just going to go down all day, and every entry above or below fade VWAP is going to be awesome. You don't know that. And the sign of a good trader is somebody that says, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. So therefore, I just follow a set of criterion rules that are going to give me a probability to set up one thing happening over the other, right? So if today's going to be a digestion day, I don't know. It's only an hour and a half in. Right now, it's a bit setting up where it's going to be a bit more digestion. All right, but we're only into an hour of the session. It's only 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so you just go into painting bars, right? You have a topping tail here on the first 30 minutes, but we have a 1 hour bar close now. 8 minutes ago, that was the first hour, right? And for the first hour, okay, we opened here. Okay, we went higher. We flushed up, right? Flushed up, then we flushed down a bit. Okay, did a quick little retest of that, weekly high from 2 weeks ago, right? Gapped up above it, came back down, retested it there. That could be the flush that I just been talking about there. Topic tail here that provided this bounce here, but now again, yeah, we're back in balance right now. So the buyers and sellers are kind of going at it a little bit right now, just intraday. That's all. All right, from this upward momentum. All right, but upward momentum that we have here, and we got to gap up. All right, again, like I'm saying here, we could potentially get down here, and as that gentleman was just saying here in the chat, there, if we get down here, give or take, what 2 o'clock, give or take, that'd be going from like maybe $3. So they might have to be a bit more expensive if the 60.75 long call, that is, for SPX, in the event that we spike lower. If we get down there pretty sooner than later, they might be priced at $3-4, give or take, on that, right? So we'll see. Right now, we're just basing on this. And if we pop higher, go on a TP take profit campaign. If we go lower, all right, maybe you get stopped out of that aggressive long call here that I just mentioned, and you take it from there. Now, just because we come down does not mean that I'm going to get short here as well, too. So we have to be patient on that. All right, and that's why we also check, things like internals, things like that. Right, we got VIX. VIX literally just made a new daily low, so that would be more satisfactory. Okay, or more probability, I should say, not satisfactory. What is this, food? And that would be more probability. VIX on lows, market, that could suggest that the market could maybe, pop a little bit more higher off this VWAP that we're at right now, right? But we'll see. That's all you can really do. All right, we got this massive gamma node here. All right, folks. So this, 60.75, you can condition this. Right click, create duplicate order. We can condition this, right? So here's a 60.75 strike call on SPX, but we're not getting into this yet, or maybe even at all. We'll see. I can condition this order rules by, typically I can, buy these at market. That's fine. SPX, pretty liquid. There's a way that you can tighten that up a little bit day, good for the day, and then condition if SPX fill auto blank this method is going to be mark, and then it will be equal to or below. Okay, up here it tells you, right, equal to or below. What I say, 60, and I'll do 51. double enter that. Okay, and that would be a condition. That'd be a condition that you could set up by that 60.75 strike call if and when if SPX market price is at or below 50.61. All right, so that will be sent there. All right, and as you can see, take some profit on SPYs. All right, I'll see the orders getting hit here. All right, so AVGO loser, SPYs here, good. A couple other orders that were. All right, see these taking profit, right? All right, now we can trail your stop. Whoa. Shout out Mark Wahlberg. Missed a little NVIDIA easy setup. But literally, I'm going to grab another coffee. I'll continue to trade a little bit here this morning. I got a couple things to do just with the moving and building stuff, but I am definitely getting this office up and running. 100%. Good. So AVGO reduced some exposure on this. It looks like I'm just going to cut this. This is just wrong. All right, no fall through. NVIDIA had a better one in the morning, at least. NVIDIA's looking good for re-engagement here. NVIDIA just gave a decent little something there. All right, AVG, I'm just going to cut this. Right, so this is a loss. Just absolute no fall through. Yeah, that VWAP was good to reduce. Hopefully not one trade mess with your day. It's only 10:45. Just no fall through. This still could potentially work out, but you could do there, no fall through. All-time high tag. So it's always a challenge there. Yeah, Bimblet. Yep, and then now, especially with options, theta decay. So, hit some TPs. AMD trying to follow through here. AMD giving a decent little setup. It needs more fall through today, though. AMD has a bit of a Decent little setup here. Might be able to rock up with that. NQ printing. That's not a print. For me, at least. I need more movement than that. Well, depending on where you're long, but it could go on a print fest if this thing can go. We're still inside of 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kind of range here. Previous bar high here, previous bar low here in the 1 hour. So it looks like it wants to pump. Looks like it wants to go here. It's grinding. This is a grind so far. For what it's worth, got these wicks here. So the buyers are trying to show something here, right? Pulse COG on the 5. VIX on lows, Q&O tick higher, advanced declines on an uptick, pretty consistent here. You know, things are saying that it wants to potentially go. Intel. Intel's having a day today. But, you know, not to, you know, it's June 24th. June's almost over. And monthly on the left, we're still inside of June's high and June's low. Which is like still kind of like this. We're even still inside of this candle here from February. Might have been a little sweep right below there, but back inside bar. So inside of even 2 weeks ago, mother bar high, mother bar low. So the higher time frames really put things into perspective. You know, Intel, Intel's a $22 stock. I'm not downplaying this, but I like to trade bigger, faster things. Tesla's daily ATR is 22 points. This whole stock is $22. So, but some people like the slower kind of grindy movers. But okay, Intel. Inside monthly, inside weekly could be a base break, but be careful with that. Has not been the case for quite some time. So even if we did break above this month, last month's high, which is right here, this is a 200 period moving average here right now. I'd almost watch out. See how the sweeps very rangy, quick little. There's a sweep. Somebody was asking me earlier about this, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we sweep above last month's high, above this 200 period moving average real quick, and then come back down mid range again. This is all year. It's June 20th, almost halfway through the year now, and this stock hasn't really done shit. 27 to 17, 10-point range. You know, I'm not downplaying anything, but it's just, okay, great. You know, stock moves 30 cents a day on average, or a point maybe, give or take. It's been in the 10-point range all year. All right, just be careful with it. It looks like, oh man, Intel's ready to go. Is Intel back? Intel back? No, mean revert. Right, break the weekly, last week's high, last month's high. Oh, there it is. There it goes. There it goes. A mean revert. Condition. More range than anything. Good, maybe Iron Condor ticker. But for the day trade, don't get me wrong. We can day trade this thing here, right? I think the options are pretty liquid. Right, I'm not talking crap about this, but nice follow through, right? Better than AVGO today. Right? Better than AVGO today. Bottom range bar off open here, follow through here, follow through COG, follow through. All right. Nice. Better than AVGO for the day trade, right? All right, folks, I'm going to bang out of here. Just still got some work to do, of course, with the move. You know, y'all know it takes time. It's a two-part series. You got to pack up to move, then you got to get to the location and then unpack, then make it a home, right? So luckily I'm on stage 2 of that. Unpack, make it a home stage, but take some time. It's annoying. If you're new here to the channel, great. Welcome to have you. See some Phantoms members in here. I'll see some of y'all later in the class. Right? Trade safe for the rest of the day. If you're new and you want to become a member, you can click on go to TradePhantoms.com, click on register Thursday, the 26th of June, 2 days from now. Right? Name, email, all that. You'll get sent a link after you register. All right, Mr. Black, Mr. Green will host about 90 minutes, give or take, show y'all kind of what Phantoms is all about, you know, kind of how we approach the markets, how markets really work for professional traders. We've all worked on the professional side, of course. All right. Right, and you can check it out. All asset classes, stocks, futures, forex, options, trading for income, short term, right? All the way down to scalping, say, futures, for example, all the way to long-term management, managing law and protecting wealth via stock and options and other things as well. So market maker stuff as well in here that is not even on this, but that's more advanced when you get to that level within Phantoms. If you stay around that long, if it's good for you, great. If not, that's great as well. We're still going to do our thing and train our traders. For those who wanted to know. And other than that, blew out, trade safe. I'm out tomorrow morning, Wednesday, God willing. I'll be with you on the live trade room. And let's go for 4 hours and get my screens up, looking good. And we'll hit it. We won't miss a couple of setups that I've missed over the past, I'd say, this week and kind of last week, as I'll have all my screens up so I can look at things very quickly and not have to sift through as many things, get to the meat pretty faster. That said, I'm out. God bless. Take care. Blew out. I'll see some of y'all later. Cheers. Ciao for now.